Welcome to the Life in Flow podcast.
The three of us, Yulia, Polina, and Irina, are exploring what life in flow and flow in life is.
Join us as we experiment, test our diverse hypotheses, and have fun in the process.
Will we find an answer?
This isn't just an intellectual discussion. We're co-creating a shared field beyond words. We're attuning to what emerges moment by moment so that the conversation itself becomes a group flow experience.
And we invite you to become an active participant in this experiment. There will be pauses and moments of silence. We leave them on purpose because this is where magic happens.
Go beyond the intellectual information. Listen with your whole body and notice how your somatic experience shifts in the process. Share with us what reveals itself in the space where mind, body, and energy flow together.
Welcome again to the Life and Flow podcast. Here we are again, Irina will be steering the flow, and my co-hosts and co-creators of Flow, Yulia and Polina.
Hello.
Hey.
And the question we will explore today is what to do when everything is dark. And the reason why I wanted to explore this topic is because recently I have been observing in several people I know and many I love, and in myself también, too, also.
También.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're like, we're flowing, so you're like, the languages will be flowing together too. What I have seen, how the patterns that the person have been working on to overcome for a long time with self-awareness, with self-work, with therapy or whatever, so that they keep coming and coming and coming. It very often it brings the person, sometimes may bring, to this like dark place of desperation and sadness and impotence of like I can't do anything. Nothing is changing, no matter how many efforts I put into it. I don't know how to change it. And sure that all of us have been in these moments. The circumstances may be different. I definitely, from time to time, encounter myself in these places. It seems that, like, no matter what I do, I can't change what I think I want to change. And I can't attain things that I think I want to attain. And yes, on one hand, we have mentioned more than once that pain is a part of life, challenges part of life and a part of flow of life. And yet I can't avoid thinking that we'll also say that, like we believe that the flow state is the best experience that the human being can experience in life. And the more flow states we bring into our lives, the better the world will be. The more group flow we bring into our lives, the better the world will be. So there is still this impetus of that we want to feel better. We want life to be better. And this is why we're exploring all these things related to flow. So how do we reconcile it with these moments of darkness and impotence and desperation and sadness when it feels that nothing works? We can't do, we can't change. Things I also wanted to say before we'll continue is I wouldn't want our conversation to turn into a competition of, whose pain is more painful. And neither to be it like just a gossip session or, like, right, oh yeah, this is what the bad thing that happens to me, and this is what the bad things that happen to you. I think that it would be much more interesting and useful to us and to our listeners if we play creatively with the essence of this darkness that embraces us in these moments of when we feel that we're in a dark place. So how can we reframe our relationship with our darkness? I think it might be interesting. So, that being said, why I'm saying it is like, if you feel that at this moment, what is emerging is that you need and you want to share the details of your own dark story, whatever it is, please feel free to share it and we will welcome it and we will to create the field to sustain whatever needs to be sustained. But if you don't want to share the particulars of any concrete dark story, you don't need to. I want us to work with the body, with our somatic experience, and look into the essence of things rather than stay at the level of the details. So, as always, we start with the game, and because I want to bring us, or I want us to play with the creative reframing of things, I think metaphorical thinking is very good for this. So I want us to play with the metaphors as we have done it already in one of the previous episodes. So let's just first what comes to you, what merges when you try to express what being in a dark place is like. So the formula is simple. You say, like, when I'm in a dark place, it is like, and whatever metaphor, whatever analogy, whatever comparison comes to you.
When I'm in a dark place, it feels like I'm confined to the bottom of a deep well that's very restrictive and that doesn't even let any sunshine through.
I could feel it. When I am in a dark place, it feels like that I am literally is sitting in the corner of a dark room full of monsters. And I'm a little girl and I can't move and I'm afraid and no one is coming to save me. I'm left alone in this dark room.
When I'm in a dark place, I feel like I am losing life force, losing the ability to think clearly, losing the ability to understand what all of this is for. And I feel like I need to find a place that's safe, but there is no such place. I just want to go to sleep and for all of it to end. I know no one's coming to save me. I have to keep saving myself, and in order to do that, it requires a lot of energy and strength, which in dark times I do not have access to.
I can feel it.
When I'm in a dark place, I become very small and sometimes transparent, so that no one is seeing me or hearing me. And I'm yelling from the top of my lungs, but it doesn't do anything. There are no sound waves.
It is very curious, but because that like many comparisons and analogies come with this sensation of not seeing the way. I also feel that when I'm in a dark place, I'm like, it feels like a crossroad or a labyrinth. The thing is that I'm desperately looking for the way, for the path to go, but I don't see it because it's dark. And there is this panicking sensation of urgency that I need to find the way urgently, and I'm at the same time I feel impotent to find it.
When I'm in a dark place, I get very quiet and still. And then I remember, oh, here we are again. We're always here again. And I don't know if I even want to find my way out of this state. It has a gravity and a weight to it. It changes all sense of reality. And the pain that would be required to go through in order to get out of it is sometimes too much.
Thank you for sharing it.
When I'm in the dark place, my breath and my heart, they alternate between almost not being there, being so quiet and wanting to become still, like you said, Berlin, and between this crazy ride of verging on a panic attack. And it's like a boat that is violently thrown by a wind in the middle of an ocean. And there is no middle ground.
Thank you. I will add the last comparison and then we will continue. It came to my mind when I am in a dark place, it feels like I am holding on my back the weight of the whole world. So thank you very much for sharing all these metaphors and for sharing the of these very difficult, challenging experiences. And we know that in order to be able to deal with it generatively, we need to have resources. We need to be connected to the resources. And a little disclaimer to our listeners, we do a lot of prepping before recording the episode. And I don't mean by prepping like the researching the information, although we might do that as well sometimes. But mostly like we prep our states, connect into ourselves and to each other and to the field that holds us together. So we would flow during the recording exactly in this collective generative state. And of course, we did that before we began recording this episode, but I would like our listeners also to have the opportunity to build up the necessary resources to be able to sustain this real conversation about the essence of darkness and how we can reframe our relationship with it. So I want to change a little bit our usual order of things and add another game in line with the usual telling the stories game. But the goal of this game is to invoke our somatic resilience. And I think we will try to do just one round to see how it goes. So think of the situation when you were overcoming difficulty, challenge, and you were successful in it. And so tell us just briefly little sensorial details of what was the situation, what is the story. But what I want us to focus most, so the storyteller, I want her to focus on what do you feel in the body, check how it feels when you connect to this resilience in your body, like the experience of resilience. And when we listen to the story and when we listen to like how the person describes the somatic experience of resilience, I want us to try to connect to it in the body too. And I invite our listeners to do it as well. And then after we like integrated all three stories, or all three different experiences of somatic resilience, we will play with something else with it. So like we will do something else with it. So we will not define the order, just let's see what emerges. What is the situation when you were overcoming something difficult? You were successful in it, and how it felt. Be successful in overcoming the struggle.
Lately, my main resource for going through dark time has been nature. I'm nature. We are nature, the rest of nature. That mostly trees that hold somehow a lot of energy, power, that I really vibrate with. And I already told this story last time, although I have a fresh one, but let's the other one is simpler. And that was a somatic experience that is with me still. From a couple weeks ago when I was just totally crashed by a feeling of loneliness. And I was going through a forest, and this tree, a beech tree, spoke to me. Like one of many, because it was a beech forest. And a specific part of the tree called to me. And so I put my forehead against this part of the tree. And it was a hot day, and then I could feel this fresh and energizing, invigorating energy that started flowing from the tree into me. And maybe at that time, just as the day, I think my energy was drying out, or my perception of my being was drying out. And so it was like from a old, crackled skin that was covered with a lot of wrinkles. I was through the tree becoming more supple again. And through this source of energy that just I could feel that was taking stuff from me as well. And I didn't have any reservations about giving all the shit that was in me to the tree, because I know its power. And so I don't need to worry, as with humans, how much can this person withstand, or can the person hold space. And I can just allow everything, all that baggage flow into the tree and then receive this freshness. And I was receiving it through my forehead, and I could feel that my whole body was becoming more alive and more, there was more moisture.
It was interesting, like, to experience through the body the story, how you were telling it.
Yeah. It was energetic sap that the tree shared with me.
Interesting. So, like, I invite each of us and all our listeners also to focus on, like, what happens in your body when you connect to this story. The story that comes to my mind, so it was some years ago. I was invited to teach video classes in my photography and video school in which I studied. And like a little bit of background, for the 3 years that I studied at that school, I dreamed of teaching in this school. And so several years later, my teachers invited me to teach there. So it was quite a big deal and important for me. But the classes were not going very well. And at a certain moment, the director of the school, the man whom I respected and admired a lot, called me to his office to talk. And he said, like, look, the students said that your classes, they don't work well. They're not happy with how the process is going on. We need to change something. And for me, it was like the sensation of total disaster. So several days later, so like after consulting with my mentors, and I came up with the plan of how to change the program, etc. But like for me, and it's my personal nightmare, like when someone says that they don't like me, it's like the whole world crumbles around me. And so the night before I had to go again to the school to give the next class, to face those students who in my head was thinking that I'm a bad teacher and I was doing a bad job, it was really a nightmare. I was trying to imagine how I would face them, and I couldn't. And in the middle of the night, I called my boyfriend, like weeping, like, I don't know how I'm going to face them. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And he said, well, you are going to do it like a good, brave soldier. And I thought, okay, well. And so I did it like a good, brave soldier. I faced them and I implemented the changes in the program. It worked well. And like in the end, everyone was happy. Like we were able to finish the course much more productively than it used to be. But yeah, like this somatic experience of like you pull yourself together and you concentrate in your body, your inner strength to face the fear. This is the somatic experience that I wanted to share. Being a brave soldier and facing the fear. And like you feel like within you is the solid core that allows you to stay in the face of fear.
Thank you for sharing that, both of you. I guess my experience of resilience through difficult times would be different depending on what kind of times. There's various avenues. Yeah. So, I think that when I'm facing some huge change that is required, that requires a lot of resources internally, but also externally. I end up having to trust that I cannot rush the timing of it. So it's actually a constant balancing act internally, checking on resources, checking on intuition, checking on timeline that's not physical timeline, checking on the future, checking on the energetics to see if there's enough energy coming from the future, really, or even from the next step, in order for me to kind of grab onto it and let it pull me. So there has to be enough energy in the field and also in, I guess, a future version of me. And things have to line up in a way where I could just get into a different mode where, as scary and difficult and maybe even mind-numbingly exhausting as the process of shifting through all of the dense, heavy energy to get yourself into what you're hoping is going to be a more generative, lighter, better space. It's really like just shifting into the receiving of the energy and receiving the pull and just going on autopilot in terms of like letting that express itself through me as I am being pulled and things are happening. And yes, it requires my actual physical energy and attention and focus to stay on course. But there really is an automatic mode that has nothing to do with where I am. Because I mean, most of the time in the biggest situations I've had so far, I'm not really in like a clear state of mind or very well resourced or sleeping well or eating well, or like usually these are pretty heavy and scary times, and yet something pulls me through. So it's a lot of trust and strangely enough holding space for both the exhaustion and the giving up but also this like pull of the energy to keep going, to move forward, to get it done, to like get myself to the next place. Yeah.
These are the like very curious sensations that I feel in the body as you describe this. So thank you. Thank you for sharing it. What I want us to do now is, and it is a creative exercise. You can't do it with your mind. You can also only let your body to do it. So this is the invitation for the three of us and for our listeners. Review your somatic experience, what your body felt when you connected to each of the three stories. So these are three different experiences of somatic resilience. And let your body find a common denominator of these three different experiences. What is common in the way how your body felt in respect to connection to all the three stories in the somatic experience that and if you want, you may share how does it feel when you try to put all three somatic experiences together?
For me, the common thread seems to be there's a receiving of something from the outside, whether it's the receiving from a tree in Yuda's case, from the future in my case, from something external, but I'm not sure exactly where in your case, Ira. But there's, I feel like that's the common thread, the way I'm seeing it right now. I don't know if you agree or if you have a different take.
Like there is no one unique correct answer here. It's just a matter of finding the sensation in the body that would represent the essence of the somatic resilience for you. I actually agree. Like for me, it is, it's the combination of these forces that pulling in a different direction in the end like bring this stability and like the presence. Okay, I'm letting go, but at the same time I need to stand and receive, but at the same time like, okay, I receive, I trust, but at the same time I need to do something. It's like I stand, but I let myself go. It's a secure sensation in the body.
I don't have a coherent answer. I just see the core and something happening to the core, and there is some movement. To me, it looks like a spiral, some kind, and it has a lot of energy. It has a lot of energy that can destroy or that can actually create this leap and pull you out of the well. And what direction does it move in? I think maybe its movement direction is emergent. It's really impossible to tell at which moment it will be moving up or down. There are forces
a lot of forces at play. Yeah. And it's your core. So what do you do with these forces and with all the energy that's in that spiral?
It definitely is emergent. I agree with that. And you can't really control it. All you could do is follow it as it goes. And you still have to do a lot of like there's still effort to do it. There's action, like what you were saying, Ir. It's a big balancing act, actually. But because it's, for me anyway, there's a sense of like being pulled. It's almost automatic that piece I don't need to be involved with. So I'm just involved with like, okay, get up, do this and do that and do that. But the general sense of where I'm being pulled and how and to what extent is almost like automatic.
What I connected the most is like the core that is emerging. But for me, it's like when there is this interplay of different forces that are pulling you in different directions. In the end, like you are getting into your core, into your center. And this is what allows you to move along. So I invite us to whatever you like, what these like common somatic denominator each of us found, and our listeners, I invite us to stay aware of it and maintain the connections, right, as we continue diving into darkness. And let's go directly to the core of the matter. So the next question is, what do you think darkness is teaching us?
Well, again, a couple weeks ago, I had a literal experience of darkness when I was playing a scouting game 3 nights in a row. And it was in the forest, and it started for me with a lot of resistance. Darkness. I'm afraid of darkness. Darkness in the forest. Yeah. Super scared of darkness in the forest. It's so easy for me to lose my way, maybe lose myself if it's not a literal forest. And was interesting. Well, there was support and resources that I had to go through this experience, and I knew this is what I was there for. I was there for a training, so might as well do it. But it was such a pleasant experience of being in the dark for a long time. Because usually, well, I mean, like at night, there always some kind of light, even outside. At home, occasionally I try to, during the night, just move if I need to without the lights, so I can kind of like sense the darkness a little bit. And there it was like 3, 4 hours one night where I was walking and then crouching in the darkness. And it just, like, the darkness, it was first, it seemed like something really scary, like a black hole. And then when I entered the darkness, the more I stayed there, the more I enjoyed it. It was so welcoming. It was so mysterious. It was so sensual also. Sensual is something that really jumped at me. I was, wow, look, after 3 hours, how many things I can see. I can go through like all this dead wood and I know where to step. And there was like goosebumps from senses of the body opening up. So, what is darkness? I was thinking after that, and then I had an experience where I really, you know, leaned into it, and I started really enjoying it. I was like, I could stay here forever, maybe. Well, I then like, no, I cannot. But still, it's like there's something so so attractive that opened itself to me in the darkness, and its depth and its like not knowing what's hidden there. Yeah.
It is a very beautiful metaphor.
Definitely a different take.
Well, I'm continuing with the metaphors. I must say that like my relationship with the concept of darkness itself is not necessarily bad in the sense that I don't always associate the word darkness with something painful or something that I don't want to be in, because in my how to call it, energetic process, I do a lot of that involves connecting to darkness. So like my practices involve a lot of exercises in which I am like dissolving myself in the darkness. And the darkness in these exercises is like it is the source of everything. It is like this nothing out of which anything can be born. And if I want to connect it to more to our topic, like talking about darkness as the dark place when I feel impotent and nothing works. So it comes to my mind that it's still about like going back to the metaphors of our somatic resiliences, all those experiences requiring like letting go of fear, or like letting go of yourself, letting some other forces take care of the situation or you. But it does require some sort of dissolution of myself, of part of myself that I actually hurting. So coming back to the Eula's, well, like her story is real, but applying it as a metaphor, it is about, like letting go of my own conceptions of who I am, how things should happen, how the world should be, how the reality should evolve. Because basically, in many cases, in my life at least, my pain is coming from this conflict between my expectations of the reality and how the reality is presenting itself. And it's very painful. And so dissolving in the darkness, letting myself be in it, dissolving my expectations, dissolving myself means reconfiguring the expectations in my relationship with reality.
Are you complete?
For now,
I wasn't sure. I just didn't want to. You seemed like you were. Okay. I like both of your descriptions. I feel like I resonate with both. So I have actually had this sensory experience of darkness in a new way more recently, kind of akin to what you were describing, Yul, where when the lights go off, like I turn the lights off, there's such a relief for the senses. I used to be such a person of light, like always light, always light, always like maximum light. And recently I've been playing with a little bit more darkness just on a physical level, and then I'll move on to the metaphorical. But there is actually something that I didn't notice before, how the system really gets a chance to relax when there's no light. And if I need to go to the bathroom at night, I don't need to turn on the lights. I can still navigate without any light. So I have access to more of my sensory perceptions that my mind doesn't even think that I have. But actually, I feel like we do have. Also, moving into the metaphorical, the dark is also a time of hibernation, digestion, in terms of digesting the pain, digesting the dissolving of the expectations that do not seem to work in reality as I would hope. Yeah, I really would say it's like a hibernation thing in order to digest the pain, the dissolving of things that are not working, get a little bit of a rest. When I'm in the darkness, I do need some time for the system to just be still and quiet until it can start slowly coming out of the freeze and the dissociation and slowly gathering energy again. And then maybe I actually go outside. For me, going outside is an actual transition. So when I'm in the darkness, it's very hard for me to exit the space where I'm hibernating, even though I know it could be generative, but still it's a hard transition. But then slowly, as I'm emerging from the hibernation and I do go out into the elements, that could help. The coming back to the light slowly, coming back to the ocean. Letting go, and also letting go not just of the expectations and my hopes and wishes, but also letting go of the disappointment that things can't be the way I wish them to be. But then once I come back into the light, metaphorically, the dark periods, as I reflect back on them, do create a sense of appreciation of things as they evolve and change, and appreciation of experiencing different types of things that maybe I wouldn't have even gotten to experience had I not gone through those dark moments. And that whole recalibration of what is possible or what is expected. Yeah, I'm gonna put a pin in it here.
I want to share two things. First is just like the somatic feeling that I don't know, like I can't connect it in my mind rationally with like create a logical connection with anything that has been said words-wise. But I have through this conversation this feeling of that like pierces me through my core. I don't know what it means. I just like wanted to share it. And it, like in the sense that this calm is created by the conversation, like as things emerge, and I integrate them in the body. It's sort of similar to what we discussed when we shared our experience with somatic resilience, like when different things are pulling us together, together in different directions, and in the end, like you let go, you surrender. So I surrender myself to the field, to the process, and it's like something is happening to me, in me, in the darkness. I'm literally in the darkness now. And then I also wanted to share, when I was listening to your story, I remembered how recently, when I felt really, really in the dark place myself internally, like that it was the moment of total desperation. That nothing works and nothing will ever work, and I'm totally worthless. I was doing the Joe Dispenza's one of the Joe Dispenza's meditation. And actually it involves first you like dissolving yourself in the darkness, and then you sort of connect to the energy of abundance and freedom and something else. I don't remember. But like what was significant for me in that experience is that when I'm in the dark place, I have this knot in my back, and I didn't want to dissolve. So like I was working very hard on dissolving myself in the darkness, but all what was left for me, this knot. And it was very deformed form, not nice, not pleasant. And the realization, like the relief I felt when I realized, hey, look, like this is also the part of me. I can be in pain. And I can let myself to be in pain. I can let myself be just this ugly knot is not going anywhere and then just like floating in the empty cosmos. And all this energy of abundance means that like even being an ugly thing, like small and worthy, like I still can receive and be helped by the universe. And I don't need to do something to change myself from being an ugly knot into something nicer or like to follow the instructions. And then the connection to the energy of freedom was also like the revelation that the freedom means the freedom to be ugly and like not being able to do and correct it. Just, okay, this is what I am, and I allow myself to be this way. Floating in empty cosmos, an ugly knot.
Yeah. Somehow I'm feeling now that some sadness and darkness kind of enveloping myself. And I just want to say that actually it's very precious to be in the darkness and also to stay aware that you're in the darkness and also to stay aware of what it is that you have, the resources, physical, emotional, energetic resources, other people who can be there for you. But of course, we know that sometimes, some people just cannot have access to those resources. And so they just jump into darkness, I guess. So I just want, like, I now I really suddenly appreciate what we have been discussing here as actually major resources that we have. And yeah, also thinking about the myth about Inanna, right, who went to the underworld to visit her sister, and what she had to carry with her were a lot of ornaments, actually protective items, because every time you go into the underworld, which humans are supposed to go to the underworld. From what I understand now, they used to have the skills to go into the underworld. But anyway, those ornaments and protections, they're very, very, very precious. Something that is so challenging, but also, having been through those times, in the end, such a gift, because that depth where the depth of the well where you were trapped turned out it had a lot of things that the middle world doesn't have, and now it has shared with you those super unique and precious gifts. And then the question is for me, actually, at the moment, what do you do with those gifts, right? Because you didn't get it for yourself. And I'll finish with the last thing. Lately, like in this context of understanding what darkness is and having the resources and also having done a lot of different things and constantly doing a lot of different things. And now when I still feel this very powerful pull by the darkness, to me it's a sign I need to go there. To me it's a sign there is something there that I need to learn. Yeah.
I feel like we need to have an episode where Yula shares a survival kit for darkness, and we reframe darkness as actually a time to explore and discover, and not just resilience our way out of it. Like, what are the gifts of darkness? We're so private to think about it as like a bad negative thing. Such a normal phenomenon for a lot of us, maybe in different ways, of course, in different depths, but is that not the experience of like the human experience? So why is it that we don't also talk about how to make the dark times more comfortable and I don't know, more not pleasant, but like how to do it better? Not better in a like a how do we perfect this experience, but better in terms of like more accepting, more smooth, more less scary.
I'm not sure that you can make it more comfortable. It's more about, okay, like what are the toolboxes, like the tools we can use to learn to feel better in the discomfort.
Yes, less resistance in the discomfort and the darkness. Like what, yeah.
But it's still, like about letting go. I actually, like one of my questions that I planned was about, like sharing our toolboxes, like what helps us to flow through the dark places and dark times. But we are out of time. So I can share quickly one of my latest tricks that I use, and it has to do with many things that we have discussed before with like this, like letting go and stop resisting. So like I imagine myself that I'm a boat and I flow in the river. And I let myself, I not let myself, I let the river take me wherever it is taking me without steering, without like trying to change direction. I'm just entrusting myself to the river because I'm a boat and this is what I'm supposed to do, is to flow. It does help to release tension.
I like that visual. It somatically feels right. Yul, what were we gonna say?
Well, I had, but maybe I'll share it another time. I had an experience recently where I just somehow a lot of things came together for me, and understand in sensing like, that I need to be in the darkness and that it's an invitation for me, and um, that also I can invite or I can ask for protection and for support, and I'm not actually even supposed to do it alone. And yeah, I had a really interesting and also beautiful experience again being with the tree, but in a very special way. I think for around 3-4 hours I was just there, like doing absolutely nothing. The word that I think I was getting it as a whisper from the trees. It was surrender. surrender. And then several cycles of different things came, and I was surrendering to each of them. And they came and went and came and went. And it was really cool. So that's like something that I hold very special at the moment. Haven't even fully processed it yet.
That's cool. I want to ask what tree Yulia would be if she had the chance to come back as a tree, or what tree you think you were maybe in some other lifetime, but that's for another episode probably.
Different.
I like the pivot in our not just conversation, but kind of where this topic went. This is not where I thought we were going to go, but I actually am feeling like a somatic shift around the topic. It went from like really heavy and dark to like, oh, what are the gifts in all of this? How do we relax into it? How do we allow this darkness to not be a punishment? How do we flow in this boat on this river and accept it as part of the journey and as part of life? I mean, the sea is not always calm, right? The sea has all kinds of twists and turns and temperatures and storms and times of peace. Like, if we could do darkness easier with more acceptance and more ease in the darkness. Yes, I want that.
Well, actually, I'm very glad that you mentioned the shift that happens, because that was actually my last question to close up. We need to finish. Let's to follow up on Paulina's shift she described. Actually, what shifted in you during the conversation? We finished. Yulia, what has shifted in you?
I really experienced the shift when we were discussing, and it was, for me, it wasn't that heavy and dark somehow. And I could feel that I'm better to orient myself in the dark. And then it's still, at some moment, it's just something heavy came and it wanted me to acknowledge it. And then after acknowledging it, I just like felt really sensations of alignment, being alive. Alignment.
I think it's good. Yeah, being alive, alignment. This is what it is.
Alignment came upon me.
Aliveness.
Aliveness.
Okay. But I like alignment.
I like alignment more.
But you see, you did feel a shift.
Yeah.
That was also part of the shift that I'm describing. Because I know you went from here to there, but then something, and then back high. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that like life actually is getting born, is being born in the darkness. Like it's coming out of the darkness.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, literally out of the womb. That got quite dark.
So,
Black is
like I must confess, my own darkness is always related to how in my head I think other people evaluate me, and so like facilitating the episode always is always challenging for me, and like bringing me face to face with my darkness because I always imagine the worst. but being good, brave soldier, I just faced my fear. And during our conversation, all this, speaking about the surrender and letting go helped me, to relax this tension of being the brave soldier, but to steer to where I wanted to go, just just let be with the process, with the field. Let's see what is emerging. And it will not go where you want it to go, but that's okay. And this somatic experience that I shared, of this calm in the core that is emerging in the core from this pool of contradictory forces that are pulling me in different directions. I think it's coming from that. It's related to that.
I think for me,
and trust.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, that's all. Yeah.
You were saying trust?
No, I did finish.
Okay. I think for me, the most transitionary aspect was when Yula started describing the interesting and curious aspects of the darkness. That's when I started interacting with it from a different perspective and started being able to shift around the perception of darkness. And then that's how I started remembering, wait, I actually feel really good when I turn off all the lights. It's really a reset into something else. Yeah, so that was really cool for me. I wish I could remember that when I'm going down the pathway of into the darkness. If it just wasn't so painful. Yeah.
So the invitation to our listeners is, please share your stories of what is your relationship with your own darkness, your dark places. What is your toolbox? What helps you to go through the dark times, and what has shifted in you during our conversation? We'll be glad to hear from you. And thank you for flowing with us through the darkness.
And in the darkness.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. How was it for you? We believe that the more people experience group flow together, the better off we all are. More connected, more creative, more alive. So let's expand the field.
If this episode resonated with you, help us spread the word. Share it with a friend, leave a comment, or give us a rating. We love you.
Do subscribe so you'll know when the next experiment comes out. You can also connect with us on our Life and Flow group Substack. We'd love to hear from you. Let's keep flowing together.